Chapter 17 Grand Finale to School. Class 11 started on a brand new note. I opted for the science stream. I promised myself that I would beat everyone else in my class. I now clearly knew what my goal was, and I had planned an entire strategy to achieve it. But then there came an obstacle, a giant 6'1" of it, and placed itself right in between my goal and me. He had a name as well, Nitin Ramchandani, a Sindhi who hailed from my own town, Burla, and had recently joined my school in class 11. Nitin had one half blackened tooth and a dark patch, almost half an inch in size, underneath his left jaw. Every time you looked at him, he would give you an unnecessary smile. He had studied till class 10 at St. Joseph's Convent School, yes, the one where girls wore skirts, and had come to Guru Nanak Public School because the convent didn't have classes 11, 12, something I too would have had to do had I gone to that school. In the initial days, we used to treat him and all the other new entrants like step classmates, if such a term can exist. It was not a nice thing to do, but it was our way of venting our frustration at not having the privilege of studying at the convent. Why had they had all the fun? However, I was not at all jealous. I was happy that there was finally someone in my class who was from my hometown. In the past 3 years, I had not known anyone in Burla to whom I could reach out and discuss homework, or sit with and prepare for examinations. It was quite natural, then, that Nitin and I formed a good bonding in the very first month. By the second month, we had visited each other's houses and had eaten meals cooked by each other's mothers. That made us best friends, so we were, and the last-minute preparations for a unit test, the late-night revisions at his place and other such things had made us grow even closer. But the results of the unit test made me realize how wrong I was. That giant, with his half-black tooth, had grabbed the top rank in my class. I had come second. I could not believe it. I had beaten the old top rank holders, but had lost the battle to this grinning monster. There is no pain more brutal than to see your good friend get ahead of you in the race that means a lot to you. From that day onwards, I started envying Nitin. His only crime was that he had scored better than me. On his face, I congratulated him, but behind his back, I started bad-mouthing him. इतना लंबा है फिर भी बास्केटबॉल नहीं खेलता. What a waste of height. He should have been playing basketball, I kept saying, until it became a matter of public embarrassment for him. Just like other students from the convent school, he was good at English. He was also extremely good at biology. At times, even the bio ma'am would forget the scientific names of some of the organisms from the animal kingdom, but Nitin would remember. Not only that, he would at times correct the teacher when she ended up making an unconscious mistake. No, ma'am, the scientific name of the chimpanzee is Pantroglodites. Hominoida is for apes, he once corrected the teacher. लगता है zoo में काम करता है. Seems like he works at the zoo. I immediately quipped. and everyone laughed. But Nitin laughed along with them, and that shut me up. I had wanted him to feel embarrassed, but hell, it seemed like he didn't even know the emotion. There is no substitute to jealousy. No matter how many times I went over to Nitin's place to study with him, I would still envy him for being a better student than me. I hated it when our common friends in class approached him, instead of me, to solve their problems. It was part of his practice to read a chapter the day before it was supposed to be taught in the class. So he had an answer for every question and soon became the apple of every teacher's eye. He was somewhat weak in maths, so he made a smart move to compensate. He started taking tuitions from the school teacher early in the mornings. Nitin's grey Chetak scooter was another reason for my jealousy. While I would go to his house on my bicycle, he would come to mine on his scooter. He was rich and, on weekends, used to ride a green Mahindra Jeep with his leg out on the stepper. I only liked his scooter when he used to offer me the rear seat and take me for a ride to the Bulla market. There was a huge difference in Nitin's and my unit test marks, despite the fact that I had doubled my efforts and started praying as well. I no longer prayed to God for getting me good marks. Instead, as per my new strategy, I would pray to God to limit Nitin's score. Nitin again was one of those irritating people who just before the exam would say, "फट रही है मेरी, बस भगवान इस सब्जेक्ट में passing marks आ जाए. I am in a terrible shape. Please God, let me at least score passing marks in this subject." I would say in front of him, but would silently add to his prayer, "Please God, hold him at the passing marks only." सरदार, क्यों चिढ़ता रहता है तू मेरे से? चल आ एग्जाम देते हैं. सरदार, what do you seem so upset with me? Come, let's go and give the exam, he would say, dismissing the whole issue. On the top of it, my mother and father loved Nitin. They found him sincere as well as easygoing. They would let me go to Sambalpur or other distant places late in the night, if only I went with Nitin. My father knew Nitin's father well. There were only a handful of people in Bulla who were highly respected in the society, and Nitin's father was one of them. I loved his parents as well. Even before I knew Nitin, I knew his father. Every summer, when we used to pluck jamuns from our jamun tree, Dad would ask me to take a basket to Nitin's house. In return, Uncle would give me a packet of biscuits or a chocolate. If only his son would have scored a little less than me, the two of us would have been best friends, but destiny had its own plans. The next unit test went by. I slipped to the 4th place this time, while Nitin successfully stayed at the top. Slowly, half a year and a few more unit tests passed by, but nothing changed this pattern. The only change was that now, instead of just our class, the entire class knew Nitin. He became the head boy of the school. He came, he conquered, and he ruled in a school that was mine first, and only then his. It was his habit to agree with everything that the teachers said. If they said yes to something, Nitin would nod his head first and only later think about what they had said. And when they said no to anything, he too would shake his head. Once I saw him agreeing to two opposite opinions over the same issue with two different school teachers. He was good at marketing. The product he marketed well was himself. How can a boy like you from a different school become the head boy in this school? I asked him in frustration one night. Nitin was very forthcoming and honest. He explained things to me that no one had taught me at school. He told me what to do and not to do in order to hold influence. He gave me some quick tips to get people's attention. He was good at it. Taking a chance, I implemented his lessons, and soon I became a house captain. I realized that it was not such a big deal, just a little bit of tact, awareness, and a play of words, and 75% of the work was done. With this sense of achievement, my attitude towards Nitin also changed. He didn't feel like a rebel anymore. Rather, I began to respect his wisdom and sincerity towards me. With that, in the last few days of class 12, my hostility towards Nitin also went down, just like it happens with a month's old New Year's resolution. The importance of becoming a topper in my class also became less. It was pointless to bang my head against the strong-willed wall called Nitin Ramchandani. For the first time, I was very comfortable and relaxed during my exams. I had forgiven Nitin for his crime of being better than me. Actually, I was too tired of being jealous. I became more carefree, and that reduced the pressure I used to face while studying. I had again begun to enjoy games, and I did play some of them with Nitin, especially after the class 12 exams were over. What was more, I loved the change. Nitin and I developed a great friendship during the vacation after class 12. I am nervous. Finally, that moment has arrived which each one of us has been waiting for. I know I have done well this time, but what if history repeats itself? Memories from what had happened almost 2 years back keep flashing in my mind. The honking of a scooter temporarily interrupts my fearful thoughts, and then I hear him shouting, "Sardar, jaldi aa ja! Sardar, come here quickly. Nitin is bang on time." I tell mom that Nitin has come to pick me up. I touch her feet and run out of the house. She shouts after me, "All the best and have faith in God." Outside the gate of my house, I see Nitin on his scooter. He too looks anxious. The two of us exchange smiles. "Chal chal, jaldi kick maar, bye." "Hey, kickstart the scooter quickly," I say to him and hop onto the back seat. The scooter springs to life, and in no time we are on the highway from Bulla to Sambalpur. We talk, but we don't know what exactly we are talking about. We are talking just for the heck of it, just to make each other comfortable. With every mile towards the school, our nervousness starts making its way to our faces. The enthusiastic smiles vanish, and a familiar fear creeps in and makes its home between the lines of our foreheads. We know we are moments away from witnessing something that can either lead us to happiness or to sorrow. I am sure about Nitin, but I am only hopeful about my own self. At the entrance of the school, we park the scooter. We are the early birds. There is no one yet out there. Still, we race between us to reach the entrance gallery of the school. The notice board in the corridor is our destination. We make a hard stop at the gallery. Our bodies come to rest, but we continue to breathe hard. In no time, we make ourselves busy trying to spot the freshly clipped A4-sized paper on the board. There are so many of them. The last-minute flurry has muddled our minds. We are no longer calm or relaxed. Here, Nitin finally shouts, pointing to the notice board behind me. His words make time stop for a moment. I turn towards him and feel an adrenaline rush. I can almost hear my heartbeat now. I read Rankway's Class 12 Higher Secondary Examination CBSE results. I am seconds away from seeing how I have done. Nitin points his finger to the first row. I don't follow his finger too carefully, knowing that he will top the score as usual. I don't want to waste my time congratulating him, as long as I am fighting my own fear and trying to know my fate. My eyes scroll down to the second row. I don't see my name. The typing is terrible on the result sheet. I look down to number 3 and then number 4. In my hurry, all I am trying to look for is the initial letter R. I don't see it. My fear is again coming true. Oh God, I am not there in the top 10 rows. I am about to break down. I am shouting that I don't see my name. I am calling out to Nitin and telling him that I don't see my name. He grabs me by my shoulder. He's trying to tell me something, but I am not listening to him. I continue to shout aloud. He slaps me hard. I am stunned. I ask him if he can find my name. You asshole! What else am I doing? He shouts at me and then points his finger again to the first row. I finally look at where his finger rests on the board. I read the first alphabet. It is R. I read the rest of the name. It's me. Oh God, it's me. I take my time to understand what that means and to come to terms with the reality. Sardar, Fatte Chatte Tutan. Sardar, you have made it. Nitin screams out and gives me a tight hug. Oh boy, I have finally made it. Yes, yes, yes. I am the topper. I am the topper. It is an unbelievable moment for me. I can't express how I am feeling. I keep staring at the notice board. There are 1,000 things I want to do, but for the time being, I want to run to my parents. I want to tell them that I have come first in the school, finally. Epilogue. I scored 76% in my class 12 exams, and there was not anyone in the entire Bulla and Sambalpur who could level my score. For some reason, Nitin scored less than what everyone had expected of him. His rank had dropped by not 1 but 3 spots. Both he and I knew that he deserved a lot more than what he had got. He was the real topper, in a sense. He had been an outstanding student for the past 2 years. I was convinced that one board exam could not justify someone's actual merit. The good thing was that Nitin was disappointed only for a few weeks. After that, he moved on. I took admission at Guru Nanak Dev Engineering College in Bidar, Karnataka. Once again, just like it had been when I had moved from my old school in Bulla to GNPS in Sambalpur, I was the only one in my class at college to have come from Orissa to Karnataka. Back then, there was a Sikh quota in that college, and with my grades, I had managed to get a seat in computer science without having to pay any donation. They called it a free seat. Once again, I was separated from my old friends, all of whom had stayed back in Orissa. I knew things were going to change, but what remained unbroken by this distance was the bond of friendship between Nitin and me. As of today, Nitin is the country head, sales and marketing, of a construction equipment multinational in India. I think it is the perfect job for the boy who could influence teachers and become the head boy of his school in the very first year of his joining. Only last year he got married to Anu. The two of them live in Pune. Nitin and I continue to meet at least once every 6 months when we recall the old times and share a laugh. My younger brother Jitendra Akka Tinku has been in the United States for the past few years, while he followed my footsteps in every step of life, from the first school in Burla to the next school in Sambalpur, the engineering college in Bidar, and landing up a job in Infosys. There is one thing in which he managed to overtake me. He got married before me. My NRI brother visits us once every year. The last time he was in India was for the occasion of my wedding. Then, surprisingly, one day I found Sushil on Facebook. We relived the good old days online until when I was in Kolkata for a day. He visited me at the hotel where I was staying. In those couple of hours that we spent together, we took a trip all the way back to our past, to the school days and beyond. We also updated each other on what the others from our class were doing now. It felt good to know that everyone had settled down well in life. While I have moved from Orissa to Chandigarh in search of my destiny, my father still believes that Orissa is his karma bhumi, despite Punjab being his birthplace, where his roots are, and despite my willingness to move to North India. My father finds it difficult to leave Orissa. For him, it's a place where he has worked hard for more than 30 years and where he has seen his children growing up. As I complete this book now, I also want to say sorry to Dad for hating him at times through the years. The time when he took me to school for the very first time, or each time he took me to get those injections. I cannot imagine what my life would have been today had he not done all those difficult things. My mother spends half of the year with me and the other half with my father back in Orissa. This is her way of sharing her love with both of us. I love to see her smiling because I am aware of the sacrifices she had made for years for my brother and me. If she would not have given up everything for us and our education, we certainly would not have been what we are today. I had liked to thank her with all my heart for it. And what's my status? Well, I have picked up the profession of storytelling and I am enjoying it thoroughly. By the time you read this line, I would have started writing yet another story. Acknowledgements. I would like to thank my wife, Khushbu, for always being with me on the journey of writing this story and for throwing some very interesting thoughts at me each time I was stopped by writer's block. How we laughed together when you narrated the story of your school days in the capital city of Delhi, and I picked up topics to relate to them from my own school days in the remote town of Bula. I give my sincere thanks to Vaishali Mathur, Senior Commissioning Editor at Penguin Books India, for always standing by my side to take care of my work and improve it further, and for all the patience she invested in awaiting the chapters from my side. And yes, you are super fast with all your work on my books. Indeed, without you, this dream book would not have been possible. I would also like to thank my editor Monideepa Mondal for jumping into the chaos of my world of work and finding some of the brilliant logical mistakes. I hope someday we would reveal those mistakes as part of the making of this book.